Welcome to Specific Love. If you like or plan on making some wooden pins in your future, having an easy way to drill the pins can speed up the process and prevent errors in your work. So in this video, I will show you how to make a simple pen blank drilling jig to make the whole process easier and quicker. Let's begin. I first grabbed a scrap piece of 2x4 and ran it through my planer to help flatten out both sides. This step may not be needed, but it does help level out the jig. I then took the wood to my table saw where I set a 45-degree angle on a very shallow cut. The total depth of the cut to the wood should not be more than 3/4 of an inch, because the average pen blank is roughly that thickness. Just remember, it is better to be slightly smaller than larger on this cut. I then ripped the 2x4 in half, creating two identical pieces. I then lined up the two pieces with the notch and then removed some of the excess wood with the miter saw. And for the next step, it is better to clamp both of these pieces together to prevent any movement or shifting that could happen. Now to hold the pair together, I plan on using a small hinge on the ends. But knowing the weakness of the end grain, I decided to enlarge the holes and use larger and longer screws. I then marked each location and drilled a pilot hole at an angle with the hopes to go across some of the grains for added strength. And finally, I added the screws by hand at an angle to help prevent stripping. Now in the past, we have tried to drill pen blanks by hand only to find out how off-center the end product turned out. So to test this jig, I cut down a couple more blanks, marked the center locations, and took everything to the drill press. I first tried using the jig only by holding it with my hand while I drilled it out. The end product was much improved, but still was a little off-center. Also during this process, make sure to clean the bit often, or it could easily create too much pressure and crack the wood. Now to help with the off-center issue, I decided to clamp one side of the jig to the drill press and hold the other tightly with my hand. This process worked much better and was easier to control during drilling. And as for the bit getting clogged, I hooked up a dust collection and constantly check and clear the bit to prevent cracking. And there you have it, a very simple and easy jig to help when drilling out your pen blanks. And now, it is time to go turn some pins. Now if you like this jig, make sure you click the like button and tell us what you think about in the comments. I also have some other videos right over here that you might like, so make sure you check those out. Otherwise, have fun building.